Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this channel. This video is a brief introduction to company law, and it is in response to the comments that I should make videos on company law or that I should make videos on business law too. So this is in response to that request. And here I'm just talking about company law. What is company law about? Why are we studying it as business students? And just a brief introduction to company law. So companies have been in existence since time immemorial, but since 1844, the Companies Act of Uganda Cap 85, the old law, was being used to register companies. However, that act was changed by the Act of 2012, which has also been subsequently amended. 2016 additions have been put to that act. But generally, this act is a combination of the British law and principles of equity and natural justice. English law, because we were colonized by Britain, so most of the laws that were applicable there were brought into Uganda, and these have been changed over time through principles of natural justice and fairness. So this act is a combination of all that. And the concept of a registered company or company law was introduced, like I said, by the colonialists, who came in when they wanted to establish companies to do business. So this law is not so new. It's been there for a long time, and the main purpose is really to regulate how a company is formed, how are they closed down, who has what rights, how do we establish ourselves if we want to be a company. Now, business law students study business law too, or what we call company law, because we want you to understand how companies run. How will you run your businesses? Do you want to run them as a company, as a partnership? Or do you want to be a shareholder? Don't you want to be, or you want to be a single member company? That's why we teach company law or business law too to business students. So what is a company? A company is a legal entity or a legal vehicle or a legal personality, and in law it's deemed to be separate and distinct from the members who establish a company. If I woke up and wanted to establish a company called Isabella Company Limited, the company itself, Isabella Company Limited, is separate and different from me, the shareholder, Esther. So a company is that vehicle I would use to run my business. And in law, it's given a legal personality or a legal person, an artificial person. And that is what is used to do the business. So this company comes into existence in law when I register it. So for as long as I just do business as me, whenever I make some money here and there, I don't have a company. But once I go through the registration process that has been established in the Companies Act, then that company is registered, and then it becomes a company in law, and it gains all the rights that the company is supposed to have in law. So there are different types of companies that exist. I just want to briefly talk about the broad categorization of companies. You'll find that we have private companies and we have public companies. Now the distinction between these two is critical. Private companies are companies that are established by you and me, maximum 100 members, minimum 1 member. The public is not involved. There's a restriction on rights to transfer shares. Like if the company is run by you and I, we can't sell our shares to members of the public. And once we are registered and get a certificate of registration, we start business right away. You will find that our company ends with Limited, Esther and Isabella Company Limited, and the company must at least have one director. Now that is a private company. These companies are different from the public companies which have been, for example, listed on the stock exchange. For example, you will find Umeme, MTN, Uganda Clays. Those are big companies. They have a maximum of infinity people. They can have as many people as they want, and a minimum of 7 persons. These public companies can sell shares to the public. So that's why you see they talk about maybe the MTN IPO, that they're calling for people to buy shares in the company. So these companies are allowed to sell their shares to the public. And when they are established, they cannot run business immediately. They must first have a trading license. So you find these public companies have this word PLC at the end of them. And they must have a minimum of 2 directors, minimum. So public companies are the companies that are run by the public shares. They're run by, the public has the ability to buy shares in these companies. Private companies don't. So if you want your private company to be converted into a public company, you must first change the articles, the document that establish your private company, that give it the right to be a private company. You must first change those documents, as we'll see later, and so that those documents allow you to make your company a public company. So this is a major categorization. All companies in existence in the world are either private companies or they are public companies. And when you're setting up your business, you must establish, do you want your business to be a public company? In other words, do you want to sell shares to people in the public to come in and buy shares, or you want your company to be a private company, just you doing your business with the persons you've chosen to be shareholders with, or as a person alone, a single member company? So the other major categorization is for limited and unlimited liability companies. And we talk about liability limitation, we're talking about the law says that you can limit or control your responsibility in law towards certain things. That's why you find that when a company does something, it doesn't mean that they'll come for your home, your house and everything. No, the company is responsible for those things. Your liability or your responsibility in law is limited. So we have companies that are limited by shares. In other words, I form a company with this Isabella. She has 50% of the shares. I have 50% of the shares. So my responsibility in that company is limited to my shareholding of 50%. I don't pay any debts or any issues arising out of the company when it's being closed down more than that. It's limited by that amount of share that I have in the company. Companies that are limited by guarantee, on the other hand, here I guarantee and undertake that when the company is closing down and it's unable to pay its debts, me the shareholder will contribute maybe 5 million shillings. So you sign this on the start of the company, at the start of the company. You guarantee that if the company has issues, it's being closed down, I guarantee that I'll make a payment of 5 million shillings. That's a company limited by guarantee. And in Uganda, most NGOs, churches are mainly companies limited by guarantee. Now, the unlimited liability companies are those companies whereby there is no limitation on liability. In other words, you're responsible solely, fully, 200%. If the company fails to pay, they will come for you because your liability is not limited. So this is another broad categorization of companies. Companies can also be distinguished by the amount of shares they hold in other companies. If I run my company called Esther Company Limited, I'm able to buy shares in another company, maybe Isabella Company Limited, and I own 99% of my shares in Isabella Company Limited. Isabella owns 1%. In law, I'll be the holding company. Because I'm the majority shareholder, I'm the main owner of that company. So you find that there are holding companies and subsidiary companies. The Isabella Company would be the subsidiary and the Esther Company would be the holding company. So these are distinguished on the basis of the ownership held in another company. In other words, the parent company or the holding company has majority shares or ownership shares in a smaller company, a subsidiary company. Just like you see a parent and a child. The parent is a holding company, the child is the subsidiary company. The parent company or the holding company has shares in the subsidiary company. So it's a shareholder or a controlling shareholder in the subsidiary company. Examples of this in Uganda, you find, for example, Mera Investments owns Speak Resort Munyonyo, they own maybe Gold Star, and they are the holding companies in these other smaller companies. So I'd like to keep this video short, and basically what I've talked about is what is a company. A company is a legal entity. What types of companies exist? You see different distinctions, private companies, public companies, holding, subsidiary companies, companies limited by shares and companies limited by guarantee, and of course limited liability and unlimited liability companies. These principles might sound so legalistic, but they are very simple to understand. And just understand them, that really when a company is being formed, there are options on how your company can be. And you can think through this before you establish your company. So I've made another video on corporate personality, which really should be a secondary video to this one. The corporate personality video follows this one. Feel free to check it out, and you understand what it means for a company to be in existence. What does that mean in law? Thank you for watching. Have a good day.